G'day! As we promised last week, we're here today to do a recovery equipment video and spares. It's a boring topic. Everyone hates spending money on it because your recovery gear normally lives in your drawer, it's not flashy, doesn't hang off the back of your truck or your vehicle and look great and tough and so on, but it's super important. So I'm going to run through what we've got for our truck in the way of recovery gear, and then we'll go through the spares that we carry for the truck. This is in no real particular order, but I'll try and keep it in order of what I think is importance. So if you're traveling by yourself, which is what we do, you want to have your winches. So let's go and have a look at them. On our truck we have two winches. They're both 11-ton winches on the front and rear. You don't have to have two winches, but on a large heavy vehicle I definitely recommend two, as if you start going down the track and it gets too slippery or difficult, at least you can winch up backwards. On both the front and the rear winches, securing the cables, I have an 8.5 ton bow shackle. I'll go through shackle ratings later and we can discuss that and explain a few things to do with that. The rear winch is the same as the front winch setup with the shackle and everything. It has got a manual hand controller, one for the front, one for the rear, but I also have a wireless one if we need it. To go along with the winches, obviously you need all the winch gear, and we've got plenty of that. We are set up to be able to do triple line pulls with the truck. We'll discuss double line and triple line pulls later, and I'll discuss the loading of various pieces of equipment when you do that as well. But we have tree protectors. Specific to this, because of the weight of our truck, wherever I tried to source the equipment, all they really wanted to sell me was industry standard lifting equipment, which is fine because it's definitely rated for the job. The problem is it's so big and so heavy and so expensive, no one would buy it. No one will carry it around. Your standard lifting equipment, I think the safety rating, the braking strike, about 3 to 5 times the safe working load. So all the equipment on the truck would have to be rated to something like 50 ton, you know what I mean, a 50 ton strap, so 3 times bigger than this, and so on. It's out of control. But so the equipment we've gone with generally has a safe working load or a working weight limit of about 5, 6 or 7 ton. So those limits, if you multiply them by a minimum of 3 and maybe 5 times, are the actual braking strains of these straps. So this tree trunk protector is a 5 ton strap. So theoretically it can handle at least 15 ton and more like 20 to 25 ton, okay, before it breaks. That's well within the limit of our winch. Our winch is 11 ton winch and it's not going to pull much more than 11 tons. That's going to be about it. So if we do a double line pull, we're going to have 22 ton on the equipment that's attaching it to the fixed object, like the tree, the shackles, the strap and so on. But we'll go through that. So 5 ton straps, and they're big. They're not like your standard little stuff for a standard 4-drive. Snatch straps, same thing. These are real snatch straps. They're designed as snatch straps. They stretch. All of this, or most of this gear, comes from Ozlift. We'll put a link in the description to them. This is a 15 ton snatch strap with 20% stretch, it says, so it is designed for snatching out vehicles, just larger vehicles obviously, okay. Got 2 of those. We also have various smaller shackles, some 6.5, some 4.5 ton and so on. If we're doing a double line pull, we definitely only use the bigger 8.5 ton shackles. We also have a soft shackle, just in case we need a soft shackle. It should be able to handle the 11 tonne. I wouldn't want to be hanging the truck off the edge of the cliff, but people say they're great, they are, but nothing replaces a solid steel shackle in my point of view. Unless it's underrated, of course. We also have 50 metres of rope. So winch extension rope. I used to always run winch extension straps, but this is a lot more useful as you can run it through snatch blocks and so on. It simply has a loop at either end. Of course, you need a winch dampener. You don't have to purchase a ready-made winch dampener. You can use anything as a winch dampener if you have to. You can use a blanket, you can use a jumper, you can use anything, as long as you can put it over the cable and it's sort of secure there. It will help stop the cable recoiling on itself if there is a failure. This has been used well and used hard. You can see it, it's ripped, it's scratched, so on. We've had it for a long time. We've done lots of recoveries with standard four-wheel drives. We've helped out at four-wheel drive shows and events with the recoveries and so on. I think it's earned its money. It's a good product. It's easy to use. ARB. Good stuff, ARB. And the last main winch-related item is snatch block. These are the snatch blocks I used, also from Ozlift. They are a 6-tonne rated snatch block. Bear in mind, like I said, that's for lifting, so you can triple or multiply that by 5 to get the breaking point of this snatch block. You don't want to go anywhere near that, obviously. It weighs about 15 kilos. We have 2 of those. There's another one there for the double line pull or triple line pull if we need it. Because if we get stuck in a bog, any normal vehicles that are around are not going to be able to pull us out. We have to self-recover 100% of the time. So you definitely need, as a minimum, 1 snatch block, absolute minimum, if you really want to be independent, because if you get stuck in a black soil bog up in the middle of the outback, provided you can find a tree, that is, or a rock to winch off, you're going to need at least 1 or 2 snatch blocks to get the truck out. So you definitely want a suitable snatch block that's rated correctly. Believe it or not, I went to a few four-wheel drive stores and they were happy to sell me a small standard snatch block rated at 8,000 or 9,000 pounds, so 4.5 tonne. They said, yeah, that'll be right. They break higher than the stated rating anyway and blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at them and thought, I'm leaving the shop because it won't be right, do you know what I mean? We're pulling out a truck with an 11-tonne winch. Your little 4.5-tonne snatch block is not going to last if you do that sort of thing, and someone might die in the process. You need half-decent recovery gear when you're recovering vehicles. So, drag chains. You shouldn't be dragging trees off the road using your poor little tree trunk protectors, because if you do, you'll end up with damage to your tree trunk protector, similar to this. If I can find it. This isn't very damaged because I haven't abused it, but you can start to see if you start dragging stuff along the ground with it, it will start to wear and break the fibres of your tree trunk protector or your snatch strap or whatever you're using. You shouldn't do it. That's what the drag chain's designed for. It's abrasion resistant. Should be using that to pull any trees or anything like that off the road. So, drag chains are great. I would not obviously use this to secure the truck while winching or anything like that. It is not rated for it. You never believe what just turned up. We're filming this, the courier comes in and he's got our new beanies. So we're going to start our own line of merchandise, and one of the items is a new beanie. Check it out. The next thing that you should definitely always carry if you go out for driving anywhere is a puncture repair kit. Most people don't have tubes now, so just the standard plug kit will be fine for the majority of time. We have purchased extra plugs because the few plugs that the kits come with are not enough if you go on extended trips. We used, our last puncture we used five plugs in the one hole because the hole was that big. So imagine if you have 4 holes on a trip, there's 20 plugs gone straight away in that case. So do yourself a favour if you're going on a big trip, get spare plugs. This is the ARB kit. I like it. It's nice and sturdy. It's a good kit. Price is okay. That's what we've got. Also, like I said previously, we have manual winch controllers, the standard type, and we also have a remote control unit that we can plug in to where the standard handheld controller goes. That gives us the ability to move away from the winch if we need to, for some reason, if you can't see correctly, if it's too dangerous or anything like that, or if you want somebody else to control it while you're in the vehicle, they can do that with a remote control and you can still drive the vehicle without having to worry about the winch. I always still carry the old standard handheld one because I wouldn't want to trust a remote control unit 100% of the time, because of course when something happens you go to get it, the batteries are flat, it doesn't work, who knows. So I'd always carry those as well. Next thing that we need to go through is wheel chains. We don't normally have wheel chains, but since we have gone to a non-mud type tyre on the truck now, there was no way I was just going to be cruising around with them in the mud. So I have purchased a set of wheel chains for the truck. So we only use chains where they're appropriate. You don't want to use them all the time, and if you don't have to. So, we haven't used them yet, we haven't tried them, but we'll let you know how they go, I'm sure, if we need to use them. Our final piece of recovery equipment that we always travel with are our Max Tracks. We have a set of 4 of them. I never used to use or travel with Max Tracks before we had the truck, but since we have to be 100% self-reliant for self-recoveries, I thought it's a great idea that we get a set. We've used them in sand and they've worked fine. The Max Tracks, when I was looking to purchase them, I thought were the best value for money versus robustness and everything else out of all the different types of recovery tracks that were available. Next, spares. Just as boring as recovery gear, just as not flashy, hidden in the back of your car, but you got to have them. And this is what we have. Spares. So I'm not talking about the tools to fix the truck at all, I'm just talking about the spares that we carry. Always a full set of radiator hoses. What I normally do is purchase a genuine set, replace them in your vehicle if it's a little bit older, so that you know 100% sure that the ones that have come off are suitable and fit, and then keep those ones, as long as they're not damaged, in as your spares. Same with fan belts. I normally buy a new set, change the vehicle's ones out before they're damaged or broken, so that you've got the used ones as spares because you know that they fit. I've had a few friends that have got their belts, they're going to put them on and they're the wrong size because of whatever happened, you know, the dealer or the place thought it was a different model vehicle, or there's been something modified or anything like that. So if you take the ones off the vehicle, you know they fit, and carry them as spares. It's big, but we're on the road full time, so I always carry a spare air cleaner. Who knows? Could do a real crossing, could get it full with water, have to throw it away. it may need to be changed because it gets too dusty, but I always carry a spare air cleaner on large trips or like we are permanently on the road. Same with oil filters. I carry a couple of spare oil filters. But more importantly than oil filters, fuel filters. The truck has a few different types of fuel filters on it. That's a tongue twister. The truck has a few different types of fuel filters on it. So I carry 2 filters for the tanks, and I also carry 3 engine filters. So these are the last fuel filter before it goes to the injectors or to the pump. So I've got 3 of those as well. The reason I carry so many is in case we get dirty fuel or water. To go along with the fuel filters, we also carry fuel doctor. So this is we use this as a water dispersant. So if you get water in with your fuel, you can add this and it will help the vehicle process the water in the fuel. Obviously, if your tank's half full of water, it's not going to work, but it can help you if you have a little bit of water or condensation in your fuel tank. So we carry that as well. Not very many people would carry this, but we have had problems in the past with this truck and previous four-wheel drives. The main thing that normally breaks on your winch is the solenoids or the contactor. So we have got a spare winch contactor that we carry just in case something bad happens to that. And if you do get one, make sure you've got the right voltage. Truck is 24 volt, so all our winch gear is 24 volt on this truck. Last thing in true spares, a set of front wheel bearings. Front wheel bearings and seals are always the most prone to break on a four-wheel drive. For newer four-wheel drives, you can't just carry a set of wheel bearings because you need a whole hub and everything. They're not replaceable or not serviceable. So I don't really know what you do with that. But for the older four-wheel drives and vehicles like our truck, you should always carry a set of wheel bearing seals, and know how to change them. It's no good just having the wheel bearings if you don't know how to change them. Well, it's better than nothing. You can probably find someone, but it's good if you know how to change them as well. Okay, so a set of wheel bearings. These, just in case you don't know, you've got to be very careful with your wheel bearings. They need to be wrapped correctly, and they also need to have plastic or a material between the wheel bearings themselves and the races, because they will vibrate and damage themselves if you just leave them packed together without anything. Another way to carry them is to separate them and put them in grease, and that will stop that as well. If you just have them straight out of the box, wrapped metal on metal, by the time you come to use them in, let's say, 2 years' time, these will be damaged and no good, and they won't last very long in your vehicle. So they need to be stored correctly if you have wheel bearings. So apart from the specialist spares specific to your vehicle, we also carry all your normal spare parts. Jumper leads, should always have jumper leads. We have grease for wheel bearings and anything else that might need to be greased. We also carry grease tubes and a grease gun. So I grease the tail shaft and any greasable joints on the suspension and so on. We have spare grease and a grease gun for that we carry. Here I've just got a few odds and ends electrical cables. I always have, and believe it or not, I've got a spare canopy door handle. They're quite prone to breaking as well, so we carry a spare one of those for when that happens, which it will one day. So odds and ends in here, cables, electrical stuff, a few bushes and so on. We have spare suspension bushes for the front and for the rear. Oils, so I carry a little pump with auto fluid to top up the auto because it is really hard to get that in. So that might be a useful thing if people have that sort of issue. We also carry spare brake fluid, spare ATF fluid, which is different to the truck's auto fluid. It has a special fluid for the auto, it's not standard ATF fluid. So make sure you understand what your vehicle needs and you carry the appropriate things. I also carry a few electrical odds and ends, Anderson plugs, a few odd sort of hose clamps, so on, relays that may come in handy or always do come in handy. Bolt kit with the common size bolts, O-rings, pop rivets, because I carry a pop rivet gun, and tech screws and so on that you may need one day. We've had an exhaust fall off once, all the bolts come out, and I had enough spares for, that's not on this truck, to put the exhaust back on. Fuses and electrical connectors. So I carry a full range of electrical connectors. I just use the foam to stop them vibrating and wearing. It's a good idea, otherwise you'll go to get your connectors and they're all rubbed up and worn through and so on. Might be able to see better underneath. Carry a full range of connectors, and of course the crimper to suit. With electrical connectors, you can't just use your pliers or your side cutters to crimp it. You must have the right crimper for it. Do yourself a favour, buy a quality crimper. I'm an electrician, so I do this all day, every day for the last 35 years. So make sure you've got the right crimper to suit the connectors you have. Like I said before, carry a range of fuses, all the different types of fuses in the vehicle, from mini fuses to maxi fuses and so on in between. And since I carry a drill and a grinder, a drill kit, you want to have that, otherwise why bother having your drill. Last but not least, carry a range of Loctite. So if you get into a really bad situation where something bad happens, at least you can, well, number one, prevent it, because I've got lock nut and so on. It's great to use on all your screws and so on, but I've also got bearing retaining compounds and so on that you can put when you're assembling bearings if there's too much play. So it gives you a few more options to get yourself out of a sticky situation or a problem. At least you've got some tools that you can possibly use or fudge to get you home. So after going through all that boring crap, that's why we need a truck. Because when we used to carry all of that in our Nissan, we didn't have much room for our camping equipment, or children, or food, but we always had enough room for beer.
And now I know why I'm so limited as to what I can have in the truck, because I can see all this shit.
Hey. I'll just go through the safety ratings on shackles for people, especially to do with the double line pull and your snatch block. I'll put a few diagrams up, but the working load limit of this shackle is 6.5 tonne. There's lots of information on the internet about this, but all your shackles should be Australian standard, and they should have a working load limit on them. Now that working load limit is for rigging and lifting purposes. So you can lift safely with this shackle 6.5 tonne vertically off the ground and use it in a commercial or industrial environment. The good thing about that is most, well, not the good thing, but most recovery gear for vehicles and vehicles, especially from the four-wheel drive industry, is not rated like this. They're rated at a braking strain. So if you go and purchase a snatch strap, it'll say it's an 8,000 pound snatch strap, which normally means it's designed to operate up to 8,000 pounds, or roughly 4.5 tonne, and then it will most likely break. So this will not break at 6.5. It's going to do 3 to 5 times that amount before, that's the safety margin, before it looks like it's breaking. It's probably going to break a lot higher than that. So this 6.5 tonne shackle will easily do 20 tonne without a problem for flat vehicle recoveries, not lifting. It's totally different, not lifting not in a commercial or industrial environment, but for vehicle recovery, this will do 20 tonne, no problems. So the reason I'm saying that is because when you have put a snatch block in, the snatch block is going to half the load on your winch. That's if you've got a fixed load. If your vehicle's stuck in the mud, you don't know what load it is. You just know that the winch won't pull it anymore. So the load is higher than the winch can handle. So in our case, if the vehicle doesn't move in the mud, we've got an 11 tonne winch. You can safely say that when you pull 11 tonne on the front of that truck, it's not going to move. So the rope's got 11 tonne on it. The fittings have got 11 tonne on it. And if it went to a tree protector on a tree, that also has 11 tonne on it, and the tree has 11 tonne on it. If you put a snatch block on that tree, you can effectively double that load. So if that winch still stalls with a snatch block, you are actually putting 11 tonne on one side of the snatch block and 11 tonne on the other side. So the shackle that attaches it to the tree has to be able to handle 22 tonne. So this shackle would be on the limit. That's why we've got bigger shackles. We've got our 8.5 tonne shackles. And they will be able to handle that double load without a problem. The tree protectors, like I said, they're only rated at 5 tonne. So they're anywhere between 15 triple, as I said, triple to 5 times to 25 tonne they can handle before they break. Since you normally double up your tree protector around the tree, each side theoretically has half the load on it. So each side of that tree protector, if you have the snatch block on it, will only have 11 tonne on it. It's 5 tonne, so triple that as a minimum, 15 tonne. It's safe. It's not going to break by using the snatch block. So you need to understand that, because people will try to sell you products that are not rated, or try to tell you actually that they're suitable, but they're really not suitable for that. A lot of people will say what I'm saying now is not even right. They'll say that you should have a shackle that can handle 22 tonne working load limit, but that shackle is like that big. We can't carry that around. If you see professional tow truck drivers or heavy duty recovery tow trucks around, they will be using equipment with the right ratings, with the right safety margins, and that's why they've got a huge big truck with massive big shackles. And also you'll see that their winch cable is about that thick. That's for the safety rating, to make sure that it can adequately pull whatever they're pulling out with plenty of safety margin. The recovery industry doesn't work like that. Maybe it should. There's no system in place to govern how they rate their equipment. So really it's sort of a bit of a free for all. And you know, the one with the highest rating you probably tend to buy, even though it might be actually not as strong as its, you know, partner over there with a lower rating, just because the manufacturer has put a lower number on it. So you do need to be very careful about all this. But have a look at the diagram that we put up and make sure you understand it. If not, send us some questions and we'll try and help you out on it further. Thanks, guys. To go through the strain ratings on all the equipment when you winch, we'll start with the simple one, which is the single line pull, the bottom diagram. We'll do it for our winch capacity, which is 11 tonne, so you'll have to alter that capacity to suit your vehicle and winch capacity, and then calculate the rest from that. With the 11 tonne winch, if it's pulling flat out, it's going to pull 11 tonne. If the winch is pulling at 11 tonne, the rope will see 11 tonne. The shackle at the tree with the tree trunk protector, which is in green, will also see 11 tonne. And the tree trunk protector in this case, since it goes around the tree and it's doubled up, will theoretically see half of that on each side, 5.5 tonne per side where it goes around the tree. This is of course all theoretical. In real life it'll change a little bit depending on You know, how the strap's set up, whether it's crooked or not, and all of that sort of thing. The double line pull, which is the center diagram. Same as the single line pull to start with. The rope sees 11 ton. The rope going back to the vehicle also sees 11 ton. The shackle where it joins to the vehicle sees 11 ton. But the snatch block sees a different amount because you're pulling 11 ton on each one of those ropes. So it's going to see double that. So it's going to see 22 ton on the pin of the snatch block and the frame of it, and the shackle that attaches it to the tree trunk protector will also see double, which is 22 ton. So for the triple line pull, which is the top diagram, the rope sees 11 ton on it all the way along. So that stays the same. The snatch block on the first tree sees double that. So it sees 22 ton on its pin and its frame, and the shackle attaching it to the tree trunk protector also sees 22 ton. Again, as the tree trunk protector is wrapped around and it's doubled up, it'll see half of that, so 11 ton per side. Same for the one on the truck. That snatch block will also see 22 ton. The mounting or the shackle will see 22 ton, and the point of attachment of that shackle will also see 22 ton. The last point where it attaches to the second tree in the diagram, that will all only see 11 ton, just like the first single line pull. So the shackle will see 11 and the strap will see half because it's doubled up at 5.5 ton. So hopefully you can see from the diagram and with my explanation that you need to fully understand what loads are applied to each piece of equipment that you're using when you're winching. The loads in all of these scenarios are based on the winch performing at its maximum capacity, which for us is 11 ton. If the winch is winching at a lower capacity because the bog hole isn't as deep, or you're not winching on the first rope layer on the winch drum, obviously the numbers will be reduced. Make sure you've got the right piece of equipment for the job.
And if your head hasn't imploded yet, I can't believe it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell if you want a reminder. And remember, we always love a thumbs up. And just to add to the story, we now have some merch. So feel free to check out our store on our website.